Hello and welcome back to the Form First podcast. You're joined by your hosts, Sam and Ben. We're on episode 25, quarter century,
Yes.
and halfway to 2026 goal for the 50 podcast episodes.
Thanks for the reminder, mate.
Let's go.
Yeah. So we've got, 25 episodes to go and we're in April. So that means we're ahead of schedule.
Yeah, chilling.
So we're accounting for some, maybe some missed weeks due to
No more sickness.
Yeah, I was going to say sicknesses, but hopefully no more sicknesses on your end, right?
Nah, none. Yep. Zero. So today we're going to talk about imposter syndrome. So do you want to give us a bit more details on that?
Yeah, I feel like imposter syndrome has been a hot topic probably over the past maybe 4 to 5 years, maybe since COVID. Not sure if there's a connection there, but imposter syndrome is a feeling that you feel of being an imposter in a situation. So, say for an example, you're doing a job for the first time or you're doing a task for the first time and you feel like you don't belong in that situation. You shouldn't be there because you haven't earned it, basically.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's all this, content, people speaking about it on podcasts saying like imposter syndrome, how it's a bad thing and it's a bad feeling and how to avoid it. But I think the fact that you are feeling this imposter syndrome, it's not a bad thing. It means that you're trying new things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, and that is where you learn and grow. Even if those uncomfortable situations don't pan out to be, great or positive.
Yeah.
You learn from that. You learn from those mistakes.
Yeah, and I guess it's almost under that umbrella of taking yourself out the comfort zone. And that's where, like a lot of people have said, that's where you grow, like you said, and and develop your skills in whatever area you're going into, whether it's a sport or a gym or a job. This is something that everyone's going to go through if you care about it and if you want to succeed at it. And I think that if you can, try your best to switch your mentality about starting a new thing and try to embrace the discomfort a little bit more and maybe expect that you're going to be a little bit uncomfortable. Like, let's say I was to switch from soccer to footy and I was playing my first game of footy standing in the middle of the field. I'm going to feel like shit and I'm probably going to suck in the first game. And it's just about that consistency.
Yeah. You're going to feel like an imposter on that first game.
Yeah.
Maybe even the second game, maybe even the first season.
Yeah.
But when you've got more time in the game, more skin in the game, then long and behold, you're not an imposter anymore.
Yeah.
I'm reading James Smith's book at the moment,
Nice.
How to Build Confidence. Highly recommend for anyone, just personal development based book. James is a great guy in the fitness world. I'd say like personal training and also, coaching business. He does like a little bit of coaching, like mentoring / marketing now. A quote that I came across in his book that resonated with me is, "I will continue to be an imposter in the roles I have not become in life." That really resonated with me because James went on to speak about how, when he first became a personal trainer, he felt like an imposter. And now he's, potentially one of the biggest, coaches in the industry.
Yeah.
Same thing with jiu-jitsu. When he started that, he felt like an imposter, but now he's 5 years down the line and he has, a higher belt than when he started. So he doesn't feel like an imposter anymore.
Yeah.
When he jumped on stage and did his first speech, he felt like an imposter, but now he's done hundreds, if not thousands of those speeches.
He was great in person. Yeah. Good.
So he was the guest speaker at the Mostly Wise tour. And just because you feel this sense of imposter syndrome, it doesn't mean that you should shy away from it. In fact, that's the reason that you should lean into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something, as you were just talking about that, when you mentioned jiu-jitsu, about a year ago, I completed my dry needling course. And that's like, putting needles into people is a little bit scary when you first think about it and you're like training with other people and they're putting needles in you for the first time ever. and you feel quite comfortable in that space when you're getting taught with other people, same as maybe starting jiu-jitsu if you're with a bunch of beginners. Then after one weekend, you're out in the real world, back in your job with no supervision, and you're like, hey, have you had dry needling before? Have you done it before? They'll say yes or no, and you'd be like, would you be keen to try it today? You don't know until you start whipping the needles out that it's time to like not puncture someone's lung or, you know, do things like that. So it's the exact same. And at the time I remember thinking, oh, I can't wait till I'm 3 months down the track with dry needling. So that's what I did, I guess, is like what you were saying, is I just dove right in and I just got my reps up. I was working 6 days a week, and dry needling's a really popular modality within allied health. And now I'm a year and a bit down the line, and a lot of self-taught things as well from joining up on the course, and I've become extremely confident with it and use it really effectively. So similar premise.
Yeah, and to the listeners, they might be sitting here thinking, well, I'm not a personal trainer. I'm not, someone that does dry needling. I don't do jiu-jitsu. Yeah. But this applies to anything in life. Like if you're listening to this podcast and you're sitting on the fence about joining a gym or finally, getting that 5 to 10 kilos off, you are going to be an imposter at the start. Yeah. You're not going to know what you're doing, but, you can invest into a coach that will help you, get to that end goal quicker, which will reduce a lot of that imposter syndrome. Yeah, and there's a lot of anxiety. Let's stay on the topic of joining a gym and starting out that journey. There's a lot of anxiety when you start. Do you think the only way, you can't avoid it, you can't skip it, you can't negate it, the only way to defeat imposter syndrome is to just keep going? Yeah. To just give it a crack. For sure. Yeah. Yep. Do you think there's a cutoff? Let's say you're a year down in the gym. Oh. You're like still a bit. Yeah. That's obviously an exaggeration, but. Yeah, I think like there's, I think the gym's not for everyone, but it's for most people. Like if you're, a couple of years down the track and you're still feeling this sense of like, really strong feeling in imposter syndrome, then hey, it might be worth you trying something else out. Maybe that might be like group fitness or Pilates or run clubs or CrossFit, or maybe, try it out and see. I think no matter what, there's always going to be a feeling of imposter syndrome, no matter where you're at on your journey. Like, I felt that even going through my bodybuilding prep and winning my pro card in bodybuilding, and then I went into my first pro show and I was like, I don't belong here. Like I worked my ass off working out, all these years, doing all the reps, eating all the food, and then finally about to jump up on stage and I'm like, I don't belong here. So I think you can get in your mind sometimes. Big time. 100%. No matter what. So yeah, it's sort of a loaded question, like loaded answer. Yeah. I think you can go one or two ways, but I think you have to give it enough time. You'll only know if you. Yeah. Like, is a week enough time? No, absolutely not. Like you have to spend a prolonged period of time doing that said task to actually find out if it's for you, if it's going to work. And yeah, I think it's exposure therapy. The more you do something, the easier it's going to become. Yeah, and that's such a good point. You can be an imposter in something that you are really good at already. Yeah. Like you were obviously in the gym for a long time before that. You knew what you were doing. You're confident in a gym space. You're a confident guy. I had a similar thing when I was sort of 17, 18 years old. I moved soccer clubs. Already felt like an imposter doing that. Went into reserves training. Reserves coach was like, you should probably be training with the first team. I'd never got a shout at my first team in the other club. Trained with those guys. Was 18. I was like, don't belong here. And it's just such a confidence thing. And like in the reserves, I'd train like a freak. In the first team, I'd train like an idiot. And then my first team was against my old club who never gave me a shot. And I played like shit. We got beaten 5-0 because I went into the game feeling the exact same way as you did when you went up on stage in a pro. So that's another great point. Yeah, absolutely. I was recently on a check-in call with a client, and said client, we've done a previous shred phase beforehand, not bodybuilding prep client, but I would say he got pretty close to getting bodybuilding shredded.
Wow.
Like,
Hectic.
talking like single-digit body fats, around 8%, 9%, I would say. So, you can imagine he's looking pretty schmick. Now we're rewinding now. This is, a year and a half ago.
Okay.
Since that phase, he's, had a series of unfortunate injuries and, gut issues going on. Also got a partner in the midst of this, and, bought a house and did all that stuff. And, he'd still been training all this time during, the injuries and whatnot. However, his approach changed a bit, and he recently got back in touch with me. We had a bit of a stint off from coaching, and he's like, right, I want to properly get back into it, follow a meal plan, and, get back to where I was. And I was like, okay, cool. So we jumped on a consult call and, had the conversation. He's like, I just want to get back to where I was and be happy and confident. And I said from the get-go, and I was like, look, the physique that you achieved before when you were injury-free and you're a single man and you had all the freedom in the world, it's probably not realistic right now whilst you've had all that going on, plus, a change in jobs, which has, a lot more commitments as well.
Okay.
So, which was a really hard conversation to have with a client, and it's a hard conversation to have with yourself as well, because when you've gotten that lean, nothing else matters until you're that condition again. And it's something that I really struggled with my bodybuilding prep, because I've been comp lean before. Everything else to me, in my eyes, for my physique, doesn't look lean anymore.
Yeah.
Until I'm comp lean.
That makes sense.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is, sometimes when you are going through a shred phase and you've had big changes in your life, sometimes your goals are going to have to shift, and you have to do what is going to be the sustainable outcome.
Yeah.
Could he achieve that level of conditioning again? Yeah, but there's going to be a lot of sacrifice there as well.
Yeah, heaps. And I think that's something that I learnt, not that I'd done a similar thing, but when we started going again in June 2024, it was sort of a similar situation. I just met my current partner, and then a couple of months later we'd opened this, and I'd had more time, and then I'd never really achieved what I'd wanted, but I could understand that trying to get to that type of stage with all the new commitments and the less time and effort and energy that I had, you definitely need to realign your goals. And I could understand, especially from someone who's had a visible six pack, to maybe losing it a bit.
Yep.
To being and then looking at photos of themselves, and then they would have messaged you straight away, ready to go and keen on that. And then you're like, hang on a minute.
Yep.
Yeah, that's tough. But I think that's what makes a good coach.
Yeah, for sure. The realization. And you got to think back when you're achieving that level of leanness and dryness, that's your life. That is legitimately you've got work, but you have to hit your steps, and your training and nutrition has to be on point. There's no flexibility there to achieve bodybuilding prep standards.
Yeah.
Or bodybuilding conditioning, I should say.
Yeah.
And, it's just not sustainable all the time. And I said to him, I was like, you remember how you felt at 8% body fat? You felt like shit.
Yeah. Yeah,
because,
exactly.
Hormones are low, your output's so high, you're dragging your feet. You feel pretty average at, 8-9% body fat. It looks cool, but, it's probably not sustainable long term.
Yeah.
So upon that realization, which took some convincing, we had to sit down and we realigned his goals in a more realistic fashion. And we went from 5 days training in the gym down to 3 days.
Yep.
We also reduced his output down via steps, and we adjusted his nutrition accordingly so that he was still in like a slight little deficit, more so like a body recomposition. And we allowed for a meal out with the partner and the family every single week, which obviously had a fluctuation on the calories, which meant that we had to reduce calories down by even more. So that meal sort of put him up to maintenance, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
With a bit of spillover.
Yeah.
And then we sort of had to say, like, well, what is the goal? Like, it's not just to look good anymore. Like, what do you actually want to achieve? And he came to the realization, well, we both did, that he just wants to be fit, healthy, and be a good role model for his kids later down the track.
Yep.
And that doesn't always have to be, looking super vascular and 8% body fat. Like, that means go to the park and be able to kick the footy and run around with the kids.
Yep.
And
there's a lot of ways you can do that.
So many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
So, yeah. And long behold, fast forward 8 weeks down the track where we're finished the first training cycle, looks great.
Yeah.
Is he back to where he was? No. But he's got some faint outlines of some abs. He's got some vascularity. I think he looks fantastic, and he agrees. He's like, yeah, I look good and feel good. There's always that voice in your mind to be like, yeah, but you were leaner before. But you kind of have to push that aside for now, while commitments are high. And maybe that's something that you can achieve later down the track when your commitments allow for it.
Had he been on, before he got shredded down to that 8%, had he been on a bulk maintenance type of situation or not so much?
Yeah, I mean, we did like a little like recomp to start off with. When he first came to me, he was sort of like unsure.
You started on that.
Yeah. He's like, should I build? Should I cut? And I was like, well, we started with a bit more of a recomp / build, like a main gain.
Sure.
And then he was like, no, I want to get shredded.
Did the reveal.
Yeah. Yep. Which, like, to be fair, like in that initial phase when we did the recomp, he put on a heap of muscle and then we shredded and revealed the muscle. Yep. And because it was the first time locking in with his training and nutrition, he actually put on a heap of muscle in a deficit as well.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I think that a perspective of mine, which is if some people start in a cut, go into a main gain, and then depends how deep you go into your cut. I went pretty deep into a cut last year, and I was, looking back now, really happy with the leanness. But I was so keen to get more food in because I just knew how that felt. And I think when you start with a cut and you go into that and you're like, oh shit, I don't feel that good when I'm cutting. I feel unbelievable when I'm at my maintenance or in a little bit of a main gain where you do maintain most of your leanness. You might puff up a little bit. Not that that's fat gain, but I think that's another really important part for people who are, and we've spoken about it before, people who think they have to cut forever and ever and ever. You don't realize how poor you feel, like mentally, physically, emotionally, until you start eating more food. I've had this with a client recently where we had him on a cut for his wedding and I think for a little bit after his honeymoon because he just wanted to clean up a little bit.
Yeah.
And we were on, I don't know what it was, 1800 or something like that. And his we got to a point where his mood was changing. I kept asking him, how's the mood going? He's got a wife, and stuff like that. He's like, he just seems stressed. He was all this type of stuff, angry, short. And then, we get him in a main gain and I asked him, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago now. And I was like, how's it all going now? He's like, dude, I feel so much better.
Yeah.
And he texts me saying he feels fat. He's not, and he knows that.
Yeah.
But I think just mentally is such an important way to feel in the present.
Yeah.
Rather than in the retrospect.
Yeah. He sounds like a cool guy.
He's all right. Yeah.
There's no surprise that we love a good chat on the gym floor.
Froth it.
In between our sets. Key word. We do not love a good chat during our sets. I'm a big believer that if you can talk during your set, the weight's not heavy enough.
Yeah, there's no chance I'm forming a sentence when I'm doing my dumbbell chest press.
No way. Nah, you're not exerting hard enough. And I'm not talking like, a couple of swear words here and there. I'm talking like, you're talking about how your weekend was, during your working set. You're just not working hard enough.
Nah.
Maybe on your warm-up sets, go for gold. But if it's a true working weight, you have to be exerting yourself 8, 9 out of 10. And that means you have no mental capacity to say any words except maybe a F-bomb here and there.
Yeah, even physical capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah, even like, I don't know, sometimes if my client's going and, every now and then I lose track of their reps, I'll give them a hand signal or I'll say, is this number 8? And they'll say, yep. And that's it. That's all they've got is a yep or an 8.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
To repeat back to me, but even that is probably a bit of an effort for them.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it might be a little squeak like
yeah.
Like, all right, yeah, you're done.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I think that there are some people that do go to the gym maybe with different goals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think if we're just talking about people who are really trying to recomp their body and grow as much muscle as they possibly can, you're not talking to me during your 150 kilogram hip thrust.
No way.
Whatsoever. You are telling me to fuck off. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, if you want to go, do a group class or do Pilates or whatever it might be, and you want to have a yarn and it's a social thing and you want to keep fit and healthy, great.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
But if you're truly, your main goal is hypertrophy, muscle growth, body composition,
Strength.
then you're probably going to have to lock in.
Yeah.
And if you are sticking to a set plan, you're going to have scheduled rest periods. So, if you're pushing hard, you're probably going to need 2 to 3 minutes to rest after your set. You can chat all you want during that rest time, right? That's totally fine. But when it comes down to that working set where you're going to have to push really hard for that 10 to 20 seconds, just be quiet, focus on what you're doing, and then chat after.
And sometimes, especially on leg day, you probably need 10 to 15 seconds after your work to actually talk.
Totally.
Yeah. I think you had a client today.
Yeah.
That comes in and gets massages as well. And I was like, hello. And they just looked at me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
G'day.
Got it. Picking up what you're putting down. Yeah. Been there many times. Yeah.
Exactly. Takes one to know one.
Yeah. As coaches, we have these little things that we pick up on as clients that we can rate our clients' intensity. Like, we can see right through it. Talking during the set is one. Another one is just like, the facial expressions that you make and how easily they recover after their set. If they can jump straight back into a conversation, or if they're like, just give me a second after, like give me 5-10 seconds, then that they're pushing their body to the limits. Because, you can get some pretty good actors out there. Yeah. And you got to sort of,
yeah, good. Oh, yeah.
You got to pick and choose. You got to be like, how many reps did you have? And they're like, they understand the system. They're like, none left. And then maybe you discreetly put some more weight on without them knowing. And then lo and behold, you go like, you realize you just lifted an extra 5 kilos then. And like, oh, really?
I have currently employed that tactic on one in particular client that I have. And yeah, if you've got a coach who has been there and trained hard, they'll be able to tell if you've actually trained hard or not. So I used to have a coach at Zap before I started seeing you. This was back in, 2013, maybe 2013, 2014. It was a while ago. And I was a little rascal back then, loving my soccer.
Still are a little rascal.
Yeah, good point. Bigger rascal now. And I signed up with a coach there, just a coach that's a part of the gym. Great coach, great guy. Still going today. Maybe he
I
was
don't
doing.
think he's doing coaching, but he's still
No.
in like
Still
fitness
within the fitness.
industry.
I think
Yeah.
he might be doing more strength and conditioning
Yep.
type of stuff now. Yeah, great coach, great bloke. Got along really, really well. My adherence was pretty bad. And at the time, I guess I kind of knew, but probably not to the extent that it was, like not rocking up to sessions, eating whatever, or not eating enough, not trying as hard as I could, sort of not putting in the effort, more of a social outing every time I came to the gym. And I think I remember at the time thinking that, oh, maybe I need a new coach. Maybe I need a new program. Maybe I need to do it by myself. So I joined up with you, which in the end, is a blessing in disguise. But for the purpose of the conversation we're about to have, I think that upon reflection many years later, it was not my coach or my program, it was me. Yep. I was not wise enough to reflect at the time, to reflect on my own adherence and commitment to the program, pissing away money. Not great for the coach. It would have been annoying for him. I couldn't imagine. I think I signed up with him, cancelled with him, signed up with him again, and then silent quit again, and did that old roller coaster. So, not great for him. He was getting money for free, I guess, for no effort. But obviously that is a time slot that could have been taken by someone who was more committed, which upon reflection is a shitty thing to do. So I guess that leads me into saying that for those of you who might be in that same bracket, who are at that stage where they might be with a trainer now or they've been with someone for a little while and they feel like they're not making results, they're not enjoying the coaching, they're not enjoying the program, this is my signal to you to say maybe it's time to look within and take a step back and reflect on, have you been adherent? Have you been doing your check-ins? Have you been honest with your coach and yourself?
It's a great call, man.
Yeah.
It's huge. At the end of the day, we can give clients the best meal plan and training program in the world, but it's up to the client to do the work.
Yeah, exactly. And they can come into the gym once a week and show you that they can work hard, and then they can piss off to the gym by themselves for the other 3 or 4 days that they're there and just have conversations during their sets.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
And take the piss, and they can lie about their food intake. They can lie about their weight. And you probably get yourself into a spot where you're convinced that you are going to the gym and you are tracking your food or not eating big portions, and you're like, nah, it's not my fault. And you get to that stage, and I think that coaches know. It's very easy to tell, especially if you either stop doing check-ins or you send in photos and check-ins and nothing's moving. So I think that this is, and it's really common, and it's honestly right at the start of your journey is really understandable, because it is a difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
Is to get into this life and to change your life and your lifestyle and your health. It's really difficult to build that habit because it's really fucking hard to do.
Yeah.
Physically and mentally.
Totally. I've experienced this myself as well. And it was a little bit different. It was in a business coaching setting. I've invested into multiple different business coaches over the years I've been in business, and got to the point where I was just like, I just don't really see the benefit and the return that I'm getting from this said business coach. And long and behold, I looked within and then I went, well, am I doing the work? Am I doing everything that they're setting me to do? Well, no, I wasn't. And then when I actually did the work, long and behold, I got the results.
Yeah.
So then I stuck it out.
Exactly. And you don't really know what you're capable of until you start doing the work, because doing the work gives you that motivation to keep going, because that's when you see results. It's the same thing when I started up with you, where I was doing it on my own, cut a little bit, was fine. probably wasn't eating enough, so I didn't really recomp as well. Started up with you, and I think we started with a shred, but I was doing all these weights and I was like scared of these weights, and you're like, nah, bro, you can do more. And I could do it. And I was like, oh shit. And I was like, okay, I can do the work. Now I'm going to go out by myself and actually put in the work because I'm paying you money. And I'm a bit more individual with my money now that I'm older. And, you know, that is money as the initial motivation is fine, but eventually you're going to have to find somewhere else to get that drive from.
Yeah.
And I found the drive by getting results and by building progressively and hitting new weights and things like that. So I think that for me, eventually, after all that reflection, I was like, nah, I'm going to give this a proper go and really dial in and commit to steps, commit to nutrition, water, training, pushing as hard as I can without being an idiot. And a year down the track, we took progress photos of like how much muscle I gained, because I went through a shred and then I went into a main gain. And the main gain, I wasn't as adherent because I was really excited to eat food. But even then, I didn't look terrible after that, obviously. And we shredded down again and we took a photo, and it was like a back double bicep from maybe the first time I saw you.
Yeah.
That in June that year. And then it was probably around a year later, if not more, and it was nuts. And nothing crazy. I wasn't shredded. I didn't really have abs or anything like that. But just like how different my body looked. Like, and I remember you saying to me, you're like, you're going to look leaner when you get wider up top. And I'd never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
And I got wider up top, and it was just like a bit more of a...
Yeah, the V taper.
A bit more of that V taper. And I was like,
Yep.
shit.
Yeah, it's like that illusion, like, you know, when you haven't lifted much in the past and your waist is like a similar ratio to your shoulders.
Yeah.
You're just straight up and down, you know, no shape. And you go like, oh, I've got a big waist, you know, I've got a thick waist, you know, I need to reduce my body fat. And, you know, a lot of the time when I get clients to build their shoulders and build their lats and their chest up, lo and behold, all of a sudden they've got a smaller waist. And
waist could be even bigger.
Yeah, and it's like obviously in that process we're reducing body fat down as well, but we're building the taper. So you're giving the illusion of a smaller waist by building that V taper.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's important to talk about as well times when maybe it is okay and a perfect time to change. I think that this is something that I've recently done where I've been training with Sam for a long time. Sam and I have now become business partners and very good friends. And it's harder to not take someone seriously. What am I looking for here?
Yeah, I get what you're saying here when it's sort of like, you know, you're taking advice from like a friend or a family member versus, you know, someone that you're paying services
not
to.
Not as comfortable with.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. You go to that health professional, even if you've got a PT that's, say, your brother, for an example, you know, you're probably going to take more advice from someone that isn't your brother, which isn't family that you're like paying services to.
Yeah.
And like you said, it was the money thing initially that drove you. So, you know, but I get it, man. It's, you know, get to that point where it's like, right, we built the friendship, we built the business. There's too many crossovers. And we were saying like, if we kept coaching, I guarantee you would be mid-session and we'd be like, oh, we need to do this for the gym. We need to do the podcast. we need to go clean the gym, whatever it might be. Like it would be too much crossover, and it's better for you to. I think it's better for you to try out another coach as well for your own personal development. You know,
exactly.
I've personally had a number of coaches before in my journey. You know, Gen Pop and body building as well, and I think it's great to get different perspectives because everyone coaches in a different way.
Yeah, and like already I see similarities and I see differences. Like my new coach is really keen on the 2-set thing, but now we're doing top set, back off set, which I've never done, which I'm learning from. I've done my first 2 now since this is my first week. He's also a hybrid coach, so he does the running side of things as well, which is something I definitely need accountability for. In terms of the training side, the money isn't the motivation for me anymore. I know what I'm doing. I know how to cut, but I spent a bit of time over the past couple of months not really tracking in a bit of a funk. So I felt like now is the perfect time to start with a coach to have the accountability. I think the accountability, now that I think about it, is probably my main driver.
Yeah.
And once I start to see results again, which I already am, that'll be driving me through. I think it's a 16-week deficit, but the calories are higher because it is longer, and they will be adjusted as we go because I'm doing running as well. So I think that's, been a really good opportunity for me to sort of switch up. And my partner was saying to me, he's like, are you worried to tell Sam? And I'm like, nah, he'll understand. He's probably thankful. Like, Sam's very, very busy, and I don't want to waste one of his spots on me. And we see each other all the time, and it's kind of like he knows what I'm capable of. And I don't think he's gotten me, like Sam has gotten me really, really far. And I'm sure that like there's a lot more that I can learn from Sam that I can, if I train with him, but I'm already around him enough, and I already badger him with 20 billion questions anyway. So, and I understand his approach. So it's really cool to now see it from another perspective, and to see how this goes. And so far I'm really loving what this coach is offering, and so I'm keen to get into it.
Yeah, that's great, man. I think on the flip side of that, you know, if you are in a position where you've got a coach and you are being 100% adherent, like you're following the meal plan or the macros and you're following the training program, and you've done that for an extended period of time, you know, you're very consistent. You've done it for 4, 8, 12, 16 weeks, and you're still not seeing results, probably a time to think about looking at another coach, I would say, which is totally fine.
Yep.
They just might not be the right coach for you. It might not be the right approach. You might enjoy that style of training, but if you still haven't reached your goals, and your goals are, you know, within reach, you know, they have to be reasonable. I think it's a good time to look at another coach.
Yeah, and it's okay to be honest about that.
Totally.
With coaches, rather than like ghosting and flakiness. Just be like, hey, thanks so much for all the effort you've put in. This has nothing to do with you personally.
Yeah.
I just think that it's time for me to branch out.
For sure. And that goes the same from a coach's perspective as well. You know, if you've got a paying client and, you know, they're putting in the effort and they're not seeing the results, then you're going to have that conversation and be like, hey, you know, I can keep training you, but we're not really getting anywhere. Are you happy doing that? Or, you know, you've got goals to hit? Because some people are quite happy to maintain, you know, you might have reached close to their goals and they're happy to keep on going because that's what they want to maintain. But a lot of people probably haven't reached their goals yet. And I think it's important for coaches to be like, be transparent, you know, say, hey, there might be another coach that has a different approach that might be more suitable for you. Yeah.
And chances are if you're a PT, you know another PT that you like.
Absolutely. Well, that's why like we have good referrals within Form First with the trainers and people in the industry. And that's what I always open with in a consult. You know, I don't know if I can help you now, but if I can, great. We'll find out during this consult. If I can't help you, I can refer you on to another coach in the industry.
Yeah. Let's work together.
That's it.
Fuck yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for tuning in for what was episode 25, guys. Don't forget to follow us on Spotify and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
Yo!
Peace.